Good morning, Mr. Wilson.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Thank
Well,
you.
I hope you're having a good day up there.
Yeah, I'm here in Nashville with a few friends and looking to close out the season properly here.
So, David, when we're just talking to Mark Rushbrook, and then we talked to Steve Phelps earlier this morning. From your perspective, give us a treetop level back on 2022 as far as you're concerned with Toyota and the overall season itself.
Well, 2022 was a monumental season for the industry. Stepping back and just looking at it in total for the industry. NASCAR, the OEMs, the teams took on a challenge unlike anything that we've ever done, or that we've ever done in decades, in bringing a brand new car, a revolutionary new car to the racetrack. And you look at the season and I have to say, to grade our first year, you'd have to give us the industry pretty high marks with the series, the competition, the parity is unlike anything that we've seen in a long, long time. So, ultimately, I think our fans are the ones who gave us those high marks. And you look at attendance, record attendance, and viewership, and all of the metrics that you have to look at to make sure that you're heading in the right direction. So starting, with that, it was a very successful season. Looking more inward, Jeff, towards Toyota and the year that we had, I would say that it was a season that forces you to stay humble. It was a tough season for a lot of reasons. It was like a roller coaster, seemingly all year long for Toyota. In the respect of going through the drama with Kyle Busch, and all of the distraction that comes along with a challenge like that, and trying to stay focused on the racetrack and results at the racetrack. We struggled early on with a new car, and I don't think we saw the results that we were hoping to see. And so we worked hard. Our teams worked hard, and we had some positive results. We had at least one car in every championship final there at Phoenix, and that's ultimately a pretty good measure of how well you've done. We didn't come away with as many championships as we'd like, but Ty Gibbs winning a championship in the Xfinity Series, Toyota winning its 13th manufacturer championship in the Truck Series. That's still a good year.
Well, it's like I say, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like when you establish the bar and what your expectations are, it's always I guess a little bit, as you I think pointed out already, humbling when you can't quite reach that. But I mean, some of your bright moments have to be, and you've been through many of these, is over 1,500 starts back in the summer. I mean, you folks at Toyota have been around a long time, all three series, and you've left your mark already in so many different ways. How would you look at that when you put it in that kind of perspective as a cumulative goal?
Absolutely, Jeff. I mean, you have to focus on the big picture and look at everything that happens, and overall, with respect to NASCAR itself, it's been a tremendous program for Toyota. It's it's been the most successful motorsports program I would qualify globally for Toyota as a brand. Our reach to the NASCAR audience and fans has been unprecedented relative to anything that we've done in motorsports. So we have talking about our history, it still kind of feels like we're the new guys, but it's hard to believe, but next year we'll be celebrating our 20th year competing in the NASCAR Truck Series. And that series is always going to be very close to our heart. That was the first portal for Toyota in the sport back in 2004. And with all of the starts that we've had there, we've actually won about 50% of every race that we've started in the Truck Series across the past 19 years. And that's an unbelievable accomplishment by itself. And so no, there's a tremendous amount to be proud of. And so you take the time to keep things in perspective. But this is competition, this is sport. So you tend to focus forward as well and make sure that you're, better tomorrow than you were today.
Yeah, that's always a challenge. But the other thing that it's impressive, I think, from Toyota's, my perspective as far as your organization is concerned, is the number of drivers that have come through a lot of your developmental programs. I mean, from grassroots through trucks, all the way up to Xfinity and now into Cup. And I look at, kind of like some of the transformation that was going on. You touched on, Kyle Busch moving on, which again, Kyle Busch left a mark in racing, and he left a bigger mark in Toyota racing, so, you can't deny what the man accomplished. And at the same time, he's left the bar there for everybody else who ever want, as I like to say, you want something, go get you something, because there it is. That's all you got to do is outdo that man. So are you excited about some of the new talent that's starting to develop and show out, like Christopher Bell?
Absolutely. And just to give Kyle his due, we obviously hate to lose Kyle Busch. I've talked about him a lot this year, it seems, because of the significance of losing him. And one of the statistics that will never be equaled is relative to the number of wins that he has put under his belt with Toyota across all three national series. It's hard to believe, but he's won almost 35% of all of the races that Toyota has won across all three national series. I mean, Jeff, NASCAR created a rule. They don't call it the Kyle Busch rule, but everybody else does. That measures, the number of races that a Cup driver can do in the other series. So we're celebrating that, and that's something, I'm really happy. We spent some time with Kyle, at Phoenix, and we're going to spend some time with him this week in Nashville, and he will always be part of our family. The records that we set together will always be, near and dear to us. So our perspective is simply that we want the best for him and Samantha and their family. And I trust that the stuff on track will sort itself out. It's, Kyle Busch will be just fine. So looking forward, you talked about our driver development program, and that's something that I'm very, very proud of. We have a team here, Tyler Gibbs, Jack Irving, Trent, who have invested so much in driver development, and it's something we take very seriously. It's a huge responsibility that we feel towards these young kids. But it starts with, it started with this idea, this goal of kind of growing our own and seeing what we can do in that space. And it's turned into so much more than that. because what we quickly came to appreciate is that we will never have enough rides for all of these kids coming up. And we've lost, a handful, William Byron, Eric Jones, and sometimes we get criticized for that, but I look at it as quite the opposite. I applaud that, because what we've done is we've helped these young kids, and the fact that they may not be racing with Toyota, that's okay, because they're better for having been a part of our program, and that's what's most important is their livelihoods. It's not all about Toyota. But you did mention one, Christopher Bell. We don't let them all go, and Christopher Bell. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we were, he was on the precipice of competing and almost winning his first NASCAR Cup championship. And it was 10 years ago that I was in Indianapolis celebrating his first USAC National Midget Championship, in 2013. And 10 years later, he's competing for one of the biggest motorsports championships in the world. And it's because it's partially because Toyota and TRD built a ladder for him, and he climbed that ladder. It's one thing, to have the opportunity, but every step of the way, Christopher won and did the things he needed to do to qualify and put himself in position for Joe Gibbs Racing to reach out there and want him to drive one of their cars. And certainly we're very proud of that. And Christopher is going to keep doing some special things. There's no doubt about that.
No, there's no doubt about that. And for just a moment, I'd like to make sure you understand this from my perspective. The racing world needs to say thank you to Toyota because of what you've done. You've given young drivers an opportunity to learn the right way, and you've recognized their talent. And like you're pointing out, Toyota has always been very, I want to say, businesslike when it comes to managing the number of seats that are available in Toyota vehicles. And you do the best you can. And sometimes, when you get a guy like Mark Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, they're in a seat. Well, I mean, you just can't tell them, well, hey, guys, you're over 40 years old. Go sit on the sidelines. We don't need you no more. I mean, that's the good thing about it. Not only are you developing talent, you've got talent that is still performing as you go forward. And all these things are benefiting who? The race industry and the fans that get a chance to watch these kids and these veterans compete. And going back to Christopher Bell, I mean, if you don't see the grit in that kid, he has to do two, not one, but two walk-off wins to be able to keep advancing, to be able to make it to Phoenix. I mean, he gets his back against the wall, said, look out, this cat's coming out swinging, because he don't go down easy. He pretty much showed what he was made out of twice this year about how bad he wanted to go to Phoenix and race for a championship.
Yeah, that was something to see, Jeff. And honestly, he had a shot at winning. I think a little bit better execution in pit lane, and Christopher could be sitting on his first Cup championship. But this is what's wonderful about this sport. And I know you've been talking about it this week, but it's not just the driver that it has to be good enough. It is truly a team sport, and you have to be good at every facet in order to win, let alone win a championship. And that's what makes it so fun. That's why we participate. It's for the challenge, and it's a good thing.
We've also been talking a lot about the international opportunities that are out there for a lot of manufacturers like yourself. Especially, I noticed when I was studying up for the deal down in Brazil, a lot of Toyotas down there being raced. How is that looking for you in 2023?
Yeah, we're obviously working in concert with NASCAR relative to, the consideration to grow into different markets. Ultimately, my purview is North America, and so our focus is a little bit closer to home, but that still encompasses potential to race in Canada and Mexico. We build and sell cars and trucks in both of those marketplaces, and those are huge, massive motorsports fans. I remember going up to Canada back when we were racing an open wheel with the Toyota Atlantic Series, and we would race alongside the Formula One teams, and it was incredible. The fans, the passion that they have for motor racing is second to none. And the same goes with Mexico. So I know Steve touched on it, didn't get into any details, but I would not be surprised in the least if by 2024 we're racing in one of those two marketplaces.
Well, it's almost like it seems like it's inevitable with this Chicago street race. I mean, it seems that will open the doors for a lot of places a lot easier, because we don't have to take a track that was built for Formula One or, something that doesn't accommodate really stock cars easily. But yet we could go and pick out a street course. And again, as you well have probably been exposed to, it does lend some opportunities that have never been used before or given before, because, and it has a lot to do with this new car. I mean, let's face it, this next gen car is exactly what we need to be an international sport, in my opinion. I mean, we can go a lot of places now because of independent suspension and sequential gearing and everything that goes along with it.
No, you're 100% right. It opens the door, and I applaud NASCAR for having the courage. Ben Kennedy obviously has been a terrific leader relative to expanding the venues and getting really creative with respect to where we can race, and the way I look at it, Jeff, as well is there'll be some places we go that probably don't work, right? I mean, it's inevitable. We're not gonna hit home runs everywhere we go, but I think that's okay as well. I went to Chicago for the announcement this past summer, and what I came away and ultimately my definition of success for the Chicago street race isn't simply that it's a good race. Honestly, I don't know how it will race. It may not be a very good race, but I believe it will be one hell of a party for that city, right? And it reminds me of the Long Beach Grand Prix. And for 40 years, Toyota helped put that race on. It was the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and we would go. I would take my family. The racing was almost secondary. It was a party. It was a celebration of motorsport. It was a celebration of cars, and there was music, and we're going to see all of that, I believe, in Chicago, and I think the city will come out for it, and I'm really excited to see it.
I got a couple more questions I want to get out here that some of our folks have sent in. Can you talk about the Toyota GR Cup for 2023?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. This is something that we're on the verge of launching. But yes, the GR Cup is a single make racing series that we're going to be launching in 2023. It starts with a GR86 sports car, and our team has converted that into a great little race car. and we're going to be competing in 7 different venues. It's going to be sanctioned by the SRO, and we have sold already 35 cars. We would have sold 50 were it not for some supply chain issues, but we're looking to start the season with 35 cars on track, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of fun. You know, we're not obviously the first to do this. Mazda has run a terrific program with their Mazda MX-5 Cup. Of course, the Porsche Cup, Porsche Carrera Cup is world famous. So there's been a terrific outreach, and we can sell more cars if we can build them. So that's going to be a great program going forward.
Speaking of programs, how is the TRD involved with the Lexus Motorsports program?
Yes. So in the end, Jeff, TRD is behind and a party to everything that Toyota, that Toyota Gazoo Racing North America, and Lexus do in North America. So whether it's NASCAR or NHRA with our GR Supra and the Funny Car series, or in the case of Lexus with our the GTD program with the Lexus RCF. So we support the team that runs that, Jimmy Vassar and James Sullivan, Vassar Sullivan Racing. We had an incredible season this past year, won 3 races. We won the finale, the 10-hour Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta there in October. So we're behind all of that, providing the technology tools to support the teams that race in that series as well.
Sounds to me like everything else that you get into, you're into it up neck deep.
Well, that's why we do it. We have just tremendous partners. It takes everyone, and we have tremendous support from our company, because in the end, Jeff, we race ultimately to reach the fans and the consumers, and it's about selling our cars and trucks, and if we're not successful in that area, then we don't race. So the good news is that whether it's racing in IMSA with our Lexus RCF, or NASCAR with our Camry TRD, truck series with the TRD Tundra Pro, and then of course the Xfinity series with the GR Supra, all of those have connected with the fans, and we've had terrific success so far.
Well, that question that you this answer came from Don Taylor, but he also had a follow-up. Toyota went to Pikes Peak with electric vehicle, most notably, Rod Millen. And, are you going to be going back to Pikes Peak, and are you going to be racing in electric vehicles anywhere else?
Yeah. So I tell you what, Pikes Peak is something special to me. We took Rod Millen there back in 1994, and we had just stopped racing the IMSA GTP series with Dan Gurney and company, and we took that power plant, a little 4-cylinder turbocharged power plant. We boosted it to the heavens, to the point where this little 4-cylinder was making over 1,000 horsepower. And our first year on the mountain, Rod Millen broke the world record, 10 minutes and 4 seconds. And that record held for about a decade, I want to say, or more. We went back a few years ago with an electric vehicle. Of course, electric doesn't know the difference between 10,000 feet and 14,000 feet versus an internal combustion engine. So to your question, where are we going with electric racing? That is as a work in progress, I'll say. Obviously, just like our colleagues at Ford and Chevrolet, battery electric vehicles are part of our lineup, are going to be a greater part of our lineup moving forward. There are obviously social market forces that are they're causing every motorsport globally to look at the issue of carbon reduction and make sure that there's some relevancy with how we race. So, it's a delicate balance, Jeff, because first and foremost, the reason that we race, and I think the fundamental definition of success has to do with entertainment, and the filter that we have to use are the fans, and so the question is, how do we use that technology in a manner that puts on a good show and that the fans will embrace. As you know, we are working with NASCAR in the background on the potential of doing something with battery electric. But, from Toyota's perspective, we don't subscribe necessarily to one technology solution fits all. We subscribe to more of a portfolio approach. There are other technologies that we're looking at. Hydrogen combustion engine. They're racing that in Japan right now in a Corolla. And from my perspective, that could be the best of both worlds, because you get the carbon reduction using hydrogen as a fuel source, and you keep the noise, because let's face it, we know our fans like noise, the big, powerful engines. That's just a part of the entertainment package. And I don't believe that's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's about the sound effects. Well, look, thank you for your time. I'm going to end this by saying, Alex, congrats to you, Paul, and Andre for all your success in motorsports. It's been great watching you help grow TRD from the early days of Les Unger and Don Brown. Keep it up.
Awesome.
So you got people
Thank you
watching
so much,
and love
Jeff.
you.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate that.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.